Something amazing just happened at the Jubilee Mass in Rome. It wasn't just a celebration. It wasn't just a moment of prayer. It became something far bigger, something powerful and deeply moving. Why? Because Pope Leo XIV didn't just attend the Mass, he came with a message. And he came to be with a new group of people who are changing the way the world sees the Church. Catholic influencers and what he called digital missionaries. Yes, you heard that right. The Pope met with YouTubers, TikTok creators, Catholic Instagram bloggers, podcasters, and even priests and nuns who post daily messages on social media. It was something the Church had never done like this before. And Pope Leo made it very clear he's watching, he's listening, and he believes in their mission. Let's start from the beginning. This Jubilee Mass was part of a week-long celebration in Rome called the Jubilee of Hope. Youth, families, and church leaders from across the world were invited. But this day was different. This day was focused on digital evangelization, spreading the gospel through the internet. Pope Leo surprised many by choosing to walk into the Vatican Square surrounded not by bishops or cardinals, but by a group of young Catholic influencers from all over the world. Some were nervous, others were crying. Many had never imagined that the Pope would even know who they were, let alone invite them to sit beside him. But Pope Leo had a plan. In his homily during the Mass, he said something powerful. The apostles used boats. Paul used letters. The saints used books. You use smartphones. But the message is the same. Christ is alive. Those words echoed across the square and spread quickly across social media. Within minutes, #DigitalMissionaries was trending. But the moment was about much more than hashtags. Pope Leo was sending a clear signal the Church is not afraid of the internet. In fact, it must be present there. Not with fear, but with faith. He said, many souls are scrolling, searching, swiping, looking for something real. Will they find the gospel there? He then looked directly at the influencers and added, that's where you come in. The crowd went silent. You could feel the power of his words. He wasn't just blessing the work of Catholic content creators, he was calling them. He was saying you are missionaries too, and not just any kind. He called them digital missionaries, a new kind of apostle, for a new kind of world. One of the most beautiful things about this gathering was how diverse the group was. There were young people from Brazil, Nigeria, the Philippines, the United States, Poland, Mexico, India, and more. Some wore traditional clothing, others wore t-shirts with Bible verses. A few held cameras and tripods. One had a drone. Pope Leo greeted each of them with kindness and real interest. He asked what platforms they used, how they dealt with hate online, and how they kept their message focused on Jesus. He told one young woman from Kenya, you preach more with a smile in a video than many do with 1,000 words. He told a priest from Argentina who runs a podcast, your voice is heard by people I may never reach. Keep speaking with love. And he told a group of young people who make Catholic memes, even joy can be a doorway to Christ. But the Pope also gave a warning. He said, don't let the internet change your soul. Let your soul change the internet. That line hit hard. Many influencers later said they were shaken, but in a good way. One said, it made me think, am I posting for Christ or just for likes? Another said, I feel seen by the Church, but also more responsible now. That's the gift of Pope Leo. He encouraged with love, but also challenges with truth. Later that day, Pope Leo joined the influencers for a private moment of prayer inside the Vatican gardens. It was quiet, humble, deeply moving. They sat in a circle with no cameras, no microphones, and the Pope said one thing, the screen may be small, but your mission is great. Then he asked each of them to share one thing they struggle with. Some said burnout, others said hate comments. Some talked about feeling alone or not being taken seriously by their own church leaders. One even said, I want to preach the gospel, but I'm afraid of making mistakes. Pope Leo nodded gently. Then he said, Peter made mistakes. Paul had a past. Mary Magdalene cried in the dark. But all of them were chosen, and so are you. That moment brought many to tears. What Pope Leo did that day was more than kind. It was prophetic. He gave dignity to a group of people often misunderstood. He showed the Church that the future is not only in cathedrals, but also in comments, captions, and connection. He reminded everyone that the gospel is not stuck in history, it's alive, it's clickable, and it still speaks. And now something new has begun. Inspired by the Pope's words, the influencers have started a network called Missioni Digitale, or Digital Mission. It's a place where Catholic creators can support each other, grow together, and stay focused on Christ. Some are creating new prayer apps. Others are translating gospel videos into local languages. Some are offering workshops on how to deal with negativity online while keeping your heart pure. And all of them are carrying the Pope's message in their hearts. Don't perform, transform. Pope Leo has shown the world something important. That holiness is not just found in silence, but also in the noisy places like the internet. That faith can be shared not only in churches, but also in posts, reels, and videos. That the voice of Christ can echo even through Wi-Fi. This Jubilee Mass was not the end of something. It was the start. A new generation of missionaries has been blessed. Not with sandals and scrolls, but with smartphones and faith. And the mission? To flood the digital world with light, love, and truth. As Pope Leo said in his closing words, be fire, be joy, be Christ online and offline. It was supposed to be a regular youth gathering, a peaceful time of singing, prayer, and connection. But what happened during Pope Leo XIV's meeting with young Catholics turned into something far more powerful. It became a message the world could not ignore. The place was packed. Thousands of teenagers and young adults had come from different countries. Some came in buses, some on foot, some even after long flights. But they all came with one hope, to see Pope Leo and to hear what he had to say to their generation. And Pope Leo didn't disappoint. He walked in slowly, not like a powerful man, but like a father visiting his children. He wasn't wearing gold or jewels. He wore simple white robes and a wooden cross around his neck. But when he walked into the room, something changed. The crowd stood up. A quiet fell over them. Some started to cry. Others lifted their phones to record, and then Pope Leo did something unexpected. He sat down not on a throne, but on a wooden bench in the middle of the crowd. He waved the cameras away and said, "Let's talk heart to heart." No one expected that, and that's when the real moment began. Pope Leo started by asking a simple question, "What are you afraid of?" At first, there was silence. Then, a young woman stood up. She was from Syria. She said, "I'm afraid the world has forgotten my country." Then a boy from Ireland said, "I'm afraid I'm not good enough for God." Another girl from Argentina said, "I'm afraid to be Catholic on social media because people will laugh at me." And Pope Leo listened carefully, deeply, lovingly. Then he said, "Thank you. You are not alone. And your fears are not shameful. They are part of your journey." That sentence opened the door for healing. The Pope spoke about the fear many young people feel today: fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of being too broken, too late, too lost. And then he looked at them and said, "Let me tell you what God says to fear. You do not win." The crowd cheered. But Pope Leo wasn't there to just inspire. He came to guide. He gave the youth 5 clear messages. 5 truths, he said, every young Catholic must carry in their heart. Let's walk through each of them. First, he said, you are not an accident, you are chosen. He explained that every young person was created with purpose, that God didn't just make them to exist, but to shine, to bring something to the world that no one else can. When you doubt yourself, he said, remember who made you. Second, he said, your faith is not a weakness. It's a superpower. Pope Leo reminded them that faith is not something to hide or be embarrassed about. You are not outdated, he said. You are eternal. He encouraged them to talk about their faith openly, to live it boldly, and to be proud of the love they carry. Third, he said, don't run from pain. Run through it with Christ. The Pope shared his own story of pain. He spoke of moments when he felt lost in his youth, moments when he didn't feel holy. But Christ met me in that place, he said, not when I was strong, but when I was broken. He told them, pain is not the end. Sometimes it is the beginning. Fourth, he said, forgiveness is your freedom. He told the crowd to let go of anger, to forgive the people who hurt them, to forgive themselves. Unforgiveness is like carrying a heavy backpack, he said. You can't fly while holding on to hate. He even led them in a short prayer, a quiet moment. Eyes closed, hands open. Jesus, he said, help us forgive. Help us be free. And the crowd followed, whispering the same words in dozens of languages. That moment was holy. Fifth, he said, you are the church. Not tomorrow, today. This was the boldest message. Pope Leo looked them in the eyes and said, don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the future. The world needs your light. Now, he told them to sing, to serve, to speak out, to create, to love. He told them that the church is not only in buildings, it is in their schools, their PA,